Before you do anything to that pepper plant sitting in your yard right now, watch this first. Because I promise you, what I'm about to share is going to completely change how you grow bell peppers this June. And honestly, for every June after that. You know that feeling when you walk past your pepper plant, look at it, and think, why isn't this thing producing like it should? You've watered it, you've fed it, you've talked to it. Don't pretend you haven't. And yet, the harvest is underwhelming. The flowers keep dropping, and by August, you're standing there with maybe 8 peppers, wondering where it all went wrong. I've been there, more times than I'm proud to admit. And the worst part? The mistakes I was making weren't random. They were specific, predictable, and nobody was telling me about them because, let's be honest, most of the gardening advice floating around out there is recycled, surface-level stuff that doesn't actually work in the real world. But today, that changes. Today I'm giving you 7 secrets specifically tuned for June growing, the most critical, most misunderstood month in the entire bell pepper calendar. Get June right, and your plant becomes an unstoppable pepper machine all the way through fall. Get it wrong, and you're limping through the season wondering what happened. And here's the kicker. None of this requires digging. Not a single shovelful. So if your back is already done with the heavy lifting this summer, you're in exactly the right place. I'm talking about real secrets, the kind that took me years of failed harvests, burned plants, and embarrassing gardening moments to figure out. And I'm handing them all to you right now in one video. So do me a quick favor before we dive in. Hit that subscribe button and tap the like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more gardeners like you. And trust me, your neighbors are not going to share these secrets with you. Before we get into the secrets, I need to address the biggest lie June gardeners believe. And that lie is this: June is too late to start or fix a bell pepper plant. That somehow if your plant isn't already loaded with fruit by the first week of June, you've missed your window. That is absolute nonsense. June is actually one of the most powerful months for bell peppers if you know how to work with it. The soil is warm, the days are long, and the plant's natural biology is screaming to produce. The problem isn't June. The problem is that most gardeners spend June doing the wrong things. Overwatering, over-fertilizing with the wrong nutrients, letting the plant set fruit too early before it's structurally ready, and ignoring signals the plant is sending them every single day. One of my viewers, a guy named David from Georgia, messaged me last month, absolutely convinced his pepper season was over by mid-June. His plants were flowering, but dropping every single bloom. The soil looked fine. The water schedule seemed okay. But David was making 3 of the 7 mistakes I'm about to walk you through, and he didn't even know it. He fixed them in 1 week. By late July, he had more peppers than he could give away. His neighbor actually started knocking on his door, asking what he was doing differently. That's the power of getting June right. So let's get into it. Secret number 1. If your bell peppers are still in the ground in June, you are 1 heat wave, 1 heavy rain, 1 deer visit away from disaster. And I say that with love. June is the month you commit to the forever container method if you haven't already. Here's why this month specifically matters. In June, soil temperatures in most growing zones hit that sweet spot where pepper roots explode with activity. But ground soil also heats unevenly, compacts from early summer rain, and, if you're anywhere near trees, starts competing with surface roots for moisture and nutrients. Your pepper doesn't stand a chance in that chaos. A container gives you full control. You control the soil temperature by moving the pot. You control drainage. You control nutrition. And critically, you control position, which in June means chasing sunlight as the sun angle shifts. Now, if you're starting fresh this June, go straight to a minimum 7-gallon container. I know 5-gallon gets recommended a lot. But for a plant you want producing through fall and overwintering for next year, give those roots room to breathe and expand. Go at least 14 inches deep. Fabric pots are my personal favorite because they air prune the roots naturally, preventing the circular root binding that kills long-term production. Put it on wheels. Seriously. A simple plant dolly is maybe $10, and it will save your back, your plant, and your sanity all summer long. Roll it to the sun in the morning, roll it to shelter when the afternoon heat gets brutal, roll it inside when a storm rolls through. No drama, no digging, no transplant shock. Just a happy, productive pepper plant living its best June life. One mistake I see constantly: people using dark-colored containers in June without insulating them. Dark pots absorb heat and can literally cook the roots when afternoon temperatures spike. Either choose a light-colored container or wrap a dark one in burlap or a reflective sleeve. Your roots will thank you with a better fruit set and fewer dropped flowers. What container size are you working with this June? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what's working for people in different climates. Secret number 2, and this one is urgent specifically for June. If your pepper plant has been in the same soil since spring planting, that soil is already depleted. I don't care how good your mix was in April. By June, the fast-release nutrients are gone, the soil structure is starting to compact, and beneficial microbial activity is slowing down right when your plant needs it most. You don't need to report. You don't need to dig anything up. What you need is what I call the June soil reset. Here's how it works. Take a chopstick or a thin wooden dowel and gently aerate the top 3 inches of your container soil. Just poke it in and wiggle it around without disturbing the main root zone. This breaks up compaction and lets oxygen back into the root system. Then top dress with about an inch of fresh worm castings or high-quality compost. Don't mix it in, just layer it on top and let watering work it down naturally over the next few weeks. Then, and this is the part most people skip, add a thin layer of organic mulch right over that compost top dress. Straw, shredded leaves, wood chips, whatever you have. In June, soil moisture evaporation accelerates fast. That mulch layer keeps the root zone cool and consistently moist without you having to water twice a day. It also suppresses any early weed growth trying to sneak into your container. My soil reset recipe that I've refined over 4 growing seasons: 1 part fresh worm castings, 1 part aged compost, a light dusting of biochar if you have it. That biochar is a sleeper ingredient. It holds nutrients like a sponge and keeps beneficial microbes thriving through the heat. Lisa from Florida tried this exact reset on 3 pepper plants that were barely surviving a brutal June heat stretch. Within 2 weeks, new growth pushed out, flowers appeared, and she ended up harvesting into late November. Same plants, completely transformed by a simple soil reset. What soil tricks are working for you this June? Share below. Secret number 3, and I need you to really pay attention here because timing on this one is everything. If you have a young pepper plant that you started in late April or May, and it's currently between 6 and 10 inches tall, with strong, true leaves, top it right now, today, this week at the absolute latest. I know how it feels. You've watched this thing grow from a tiny seed or a spindly transplant. You've nursed it through cold nights and watched it finally start stretching toward the sun. And now I'm telling you to cut the top off. It feels criminal. But here's the June reality. A bell pepper that goes untopped in June will spend the next 6 weeks growing tall, setting 1 cluster of early fruit, then exhausting itself trying to support that fruit on a single weak stem. By August, it's leaning, it's stressed, and it's basically done. 1 season, 1 mediocre harvest, compost pile by October. A topped pepper, that same plant pushes 2, then 4, then 8 strong lateral branches through June and July. By the time your untopped neighbor's plant is sagging under 1 cluster of peppers, your topped plant looks like a small tree. Thick, bushy, loaded with flowering sites on every single branch. We're talking 3 to 4 times the fruit set from the exact same plant. Cut just above a healthy node. Use clean, sharp pruners. Sterilize them with rubbing alcohol first. Make it a confident, straight cut. No hesitation. Walk away. Come back in a week and watch the magic happen. And if your plant is already past that stage and starting to branch naturally, pinch the tips of those new lateral shoots. Same principle, same result. More branches, more fruit, more peppers coming out of your June investment. Have you ever topped a pepper and watched the transformation? Tell me your before and after in the comments. Those stories are my favorite. Secret number 4. And this is the one that separates serious pepper growers from casual ones. In June, your bell pepper is going to start setting flowers. And everything in your gardener's brain is going to tell you, let them all go. Let every flower become a pepper. Maximum harvest, right? Wrong. And this mistake will cost you the entire second half of your season. Here's the biology. A young pepper plant that sets fruit too early in June is like a college athlete trying to run a marathon on day 1 of training. The root system isn't deep enough yet. The branch structure isn't strong enough yet. The plant pours every single calorie it has into those first few fruits, and by the time they're mature, it has nothing left. Flowering stops, new growth stalls, you get one early flush and a long disappointing silence. The fix is what I call June flower editing. For the first 2 to 3 weeks of June flowering, remove about half the flowers, specifically the ones on the lowest and thinnest branches. Let the upper, stronger branches hold their flowers and set the first fruits. This forces the plant to simultaneously develop its root system and feed its first fruits, building the infrastructure for massive production later. By mid to late June, once you see strong new growth pushing from multiple branch points, ease off the editing and let the plant run. Now it has the root depth and branch strength to handle full production, and it will produce heavily, continuously, and without the mid-season crash that ruined so many June-started gardens. Marcus from Tennessee did this last June after 3 straight disappointing seasons. He said it felt wrong removing perfectly healthy flowers, but by September, he was giving away peppers to everyone on his street and still had more than he could use. That's the payoff for trusting the process in June. What's your flower management strategy? I want to hear it in the comments. Secret number 5. June brings warmth, sunshine, long days, and an absolute invasion of pests that are specifically targeting your bell peppers right now. Aphids multiply in June heat. Spider mites love dry spells. Thrips arrive with early summer breezes. And if you're in a suburban or rural area, deer and groundhogs are getting bolder by the day as other food sources dry up. The forever container method is your first line of defense. Elevation is your best friend. A pepper plant on a raised deck, porch, or even a sturdy table is dramatically less accessible to ground-level critters. Deer hate navigating stairs and exposed spaces. Rabbits and groundhogs won't cross open concrete or decking without cover. But elevation alone won't stop insects. So here's my June pest force field routine that takes about 10 minutes every 2 weeks and keeps the bugs completely at bay. Every 2 weeks, mix 1 tablespoon of neem oil with a few drops of dish soap in a gallon of water. Spray every surface of the plant, tops of leaves, undersides of leaves, stems, even the soil surface. Do it in the evening to avoid least burn and to target the insects that come out at dusk. Between neem treatments, plant marigolds directly in the same container or in neighboring pots. Their scent confuses and repels aphids, whiteflies, and even some beetles. And here's the bonus. Marigolds attract pollinators, and in June, good pollination is the difference between full, heavy peppers and hollow, misshapen ones. James from North Carolina lost 2 consecutive June gardens to aphid infestations before trying this routine. Last summer, he went the entire season completely pest-free and said it was the most peaceful gardening experience he'd ever had. His words, not mine. Have you ever had a pest destroy a June garden? Tell me your horror story in the comments and what you tried to fix it. Real quick. If you're finding these secrets actually useful and not just fluff, hit that subscribe button right now. I drop videos specifically designed to help you grow more with less stress, less digging, and less money wasted on plants that don't perform. You're exactly the kind of gardener this channel is built for. Now, back to the good stuff. Secret number 6. Feeding your bell peppers in June requires a completely different approach than spring feeding, and almost everyone gets this wrong. In spring, you want nitrogen. Green growth, strong stems, establishing the plant. But by June, high nitrogen feeding is actively sabotaging your harvest. It pushes lush, leafy growth while suppressing the exact hormones that trigger flowering and fruit development. You end up with a gorgeous, bushy, impressively green plant that produces almost nothing. June is the month you switch completely to phosphorus and potassium dominance. I use a bloom booster formula, something in the 5-10-10 range, applied every 3 weeks through June and July. Phosphorus drives flower production and fruit set. Potassium builds cell wall strength, improves flavor concentration in the fruit, and helps the plant handle heat stress. My June feeding secret weapon is Epsom salt. 1 tablespoon dissolved in a gallon of water, applied as both a root drench and a foliar spray once a month through the growing season. Bell peppers are magnesium-hungry plants, and June heat accelerates magnesium leaching from container soil. Without it, you'll see yellowing leaves starting from the inside out, a classic magnesium deficiency sign that most people misdiagnose as overwatering or disease. Foliar spray in the evening on a cloudy day. Root drench in the morning. Alternate monthly, and your plant maintains that deep, healthy green while pumping out flower after flower. Combined with your bloom booster, this is the June feeding 1-2 punch that keeps the factory running. Biggest June feeding mistake, panic adding fertilizer every time the plant looks slightly stressed. More fertilizer is not always the answer. Salt buildup from overfeeding in containers is a real problem. Feed on a schedule, observe the plant, and adjust based on what you actually see. Less is consistently more in container growing. What's your June feeding routine? Drop it in the comments and let's compare notes. Secret number 7, the big one, the secret that ties everything together and determines whether your June investment pays off through summer, fall, and beyond. Here's what nobody tells you about June harvesting strategy. The moment you allow your first bell peppers to fully ripen to red on the plant in June, you are sending a hormonal signal that slows everything down at exactly the wrong time. June is your foundation month. It's the month your plant is building the production infrastructure that will feed you for the next 5 months. A fully ripened fruit in June tells the plant its reproductive mission is complete. Slow down. Ease up. The season is almost done. But it's not done. It's just getting started. Here's what you do instead. Watch for that first wave of June peppers to reach full size. Firm, glossy, well-developed, but still green. That's your harvest window. Pick 60 to 70% of them, green. Use sharp scissors. Cut the stem cleanly, no twisting. Do it in the morning when the plant is cool and crisp. What happens next is almost immediate. The plant registers the loss of immature fruit, interprets it as a failure, seeds weren't viable, try again, and triggers a new wave of flowering within days. Wave after wave, all summer long, fueled by the strong root system and branch structure you built with secrets 1 through 6. Keep 30% on the plant to ripen fully red. Those go straight to the kitchen for fresh eating, stuffing, and roasting. The green ones, stir fries, fajitas, grilling. Honestly, once you start cooking with fresh-picked green bell peppers you grew yourself, you will never think of them as second choice again. Sandra from Michigan was getting maybe 12 peppers per season before discovering this harvest trigger method. She implemented it mid-June last year and finished the season with over 40 peppers from 2 plants. Same garden, same soil, just a completely different harvesting strategy. 40 peppers. The single biggest mistake to avoid this June: waiting. Waiting to see the red. Waiting to harvest until the plant looks done. Waiting to implement these strategies until next season. Your plant is ready right now. June is ready right now. The only question is whether you are. 7 secrets to growing infinite bell peppers in June with zero digging. Let me run through them one more time, fast. 1. Lock into the forever container method now with a 7-gallon minimum on wheels. 2. Do the June soil reset with worm castings and mulch before the heat peaks. 3. Top your plant this week if it's under 10 inches. 4. Edit your early June flowers strategically to build root depth first. 5. Build your pest force field with neem oil, elevation, and marigolds. 6. Switch to a phosphorus and potassium dominant feeding formula and add monthly Epsom salt. And 7. Harvest green on purpose and keep that production machine running nonstop. These are hard-won, season-tested strategies that real gardeners in this community are using right now to grow more peppers with less effort, less frustration, and less money wasted every single spring. If this video gives you even one thing you're going to try this June, hit that like button. It tells me to keep making content like this. Subscribe if you're not already part of this community, and leave me a comment with the one secret you're most excited to implement. I read every single one. Now get out there. June is waiting. Your peppers are waiting. Go make them infinite.